What's up, everyone? This is Adam Gillespie with the Rancid and Sweaty Calves coming at you with yet another video. Today we'll be reviewing an interesting little tidbit of information in regards to Tolkien and a letter that he wrote back in June of 1958 in regards to a film treatment. Now, this I found very interesting, not only because it's coming from Bounding into Comics, which from what I've looked at in the past is very, very leftist. Now, maybe they've had a change of heart, or maybe Lord of the Rings is just that sacred within fandom that they refuse to actually do something as shill as support Amazon for the garbage that they're producing. That being said, let's go ahead and get into the video. This, in case you don't know what it is, this is a little article explaining what happened back in 1958, where Tolkien responded to a film treatment that was going to be made by someone, and he torched that person, torched that film treatment, and denied that person the ability to make a film treatment about his works. And if you see here the title right here, J.R.R. Tolkien torched the Lord of the Rings film treatment for being treated carelessly, recklessly, and showing no evident signs of any appreciation of what it is all about. Now, to those of you who don't know, Tolkien wanted to create a story that could be like a mythology for England, for the land he grew up in, because there was so little mythology in the area that he grew up with. A lot of the stuff that would have been mythology was done away with in the Dark Ages and lost because of war or conquest or some other crazy thing that happened. And I mean, he just wanted to create a story that everyone could get behind and that everyone could enjoy. He wanted to create a story that would focus on traditional ideals, kind of what is seen as medieval ideals and stuff like that. You know, these old school ideals that actually mean something. And he didn't want to make it political. And I think that he succeeded very well at that, because there was hardly any politics in this book, in Lord of the Rings, in the three Lord of the Rings books that he wrote in the main story, The Hobbit. It was really just an adventure story. There wasn't any politics, there wasn't any political ideology enforced in it. It was literally just, I'm making a story, and this story is going to have some traditional ideals, and it's going to be an adventure story with all kinds of different creatures and all kinds of different races of individuals coming together to fight off an ultimate evil known as Sauron, who would use a ring of power to control all other rings of power, and that ring of power would gift an immense power over all life. It's in the opening dialogue of the movies if you actually watch it. And I mean, take a look at what the actual opening statement of the books are, like one ring in the darkness, you know, and all that good jazz. I can't quote it for memory because I suck at remembering that, but really great. I know the gist of the story. Really great of a way to kind of set up this incredibly intense story and this incredibly intense antagonist. And what he did was he just made a story of all these underdogs coming together to fight off that ultimate evil, and an ultimate evil that he didn't even have a physical front-to-front confrontation with, because it was a disembodied soul essentially calling to the ring. Now, if we take a look here, it says J.R.R. Tolkien, the creator of The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, torched the film treatment for an adaptation of The Lord of the Rings back in June of 1958. Like I said, in letter 210 to Forrest J. Ackerman, let me highlight this. In letter 210 of Forrest J. Ackerman, Tolkien did not hold back his criticism for the film treatment, and it gives us an idea of what he might have thought about Amazon Studios' upcoming adaptation of Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, a name that, might I mind you, just rolls off the tongue ever so incredibly well. And in case you can't tell, I'm being incredibly sarcastic when I say that. Now, that's a shot from Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. Now, I don't know about you, but I remember having better graphics and better looks and better CG back when the original Lord of the Rings was actually created. Because that literally just looks like it was copy and pasted off of a generic adventure fantasy video game and slapped on there and said, yeah, this is Lord of the Rings. This little image right here, I don't know if you can see my cursor or not, but that just looks like a generic fantasy cliffside, and it's really boring if you ask me. I don't see that and think Lord of the Rings. I see that and I go, huh, that's kind of boring. But anyways, moving on. Towards the beginning of the letter, Tolkien preemptively apologizes for his tone for the comments he used in his commentary on the film treatment. He wrote, "If Mr. Zimmerman and or others do so, they may be irritated or aggrieved by my tone of many of my criticisms. If so, I am sorry, though not surprised. Tolkien went on to explain the apology, but I would ask him to make an effort of imagination sufficient to understand the irritation and on occasion the resentment of an author who finds increasingly as he proceeds his work treated as it would seem carelessly in general, in places recklessly, and with no evident signs of any appreciation of what it is all about. Now, again, I don't remember, I don't know exactly what the film treatment was going to be, but from what Tolkien said in this letter, it was incredibly false and incredibly inaccurate to what it was he was trying to write. Probably got involved in politics, probably got involved in some sort of identity stuff, probably got involved in some other garbage that didn't need to be a part of this. But we've got, look at that, that's a good shot right there. I mean, that looks better than what we saw with the Cliffside. Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, great stuff. But, I mean, we can just see that Tolkien was not a fan of people taking something that was just pure and then turning it into something that could be divisive. Taking something like Lord of the Rings, the story that he created, and turning it into this garbage that was highly political, highly politicized, all about identity politics, all about leftism, which is what Amazon's doing right now. Amazon has gone out and said and disrespected the lore, making dwarven women beardless, disrespecting the appendices, which they're taking the information that they're getting for their show back from. They are incorporating ethnicities that were not a part of the races of elves, dwarves, hobbits, anything like that, and they are just completely completely disregarding what it is that Tolkien wrote, completely disregarding what it is that Tolkien actually cared to write about and actually made an effort to make sense. I mean, like I said, this is the guy who studied moon patterns to make sure that his writing was better than what it is. And the guy was devoted to making a story that would be so good and would have so little political affiliation that if you tried to affiliate with anything political, it would be seen as a political move, and fans hate it. And I mean, you want examples of what it is that fans disliked? Fans really disliked it when there was more inclusion of certain characters in the Lord of the Rings trilogy of movies that Peter Jackson made. Now, there was a backlash about that, but overall, fans enjoyed that because it still stayed true to the spirit of what it is that Lord of the Rings was about. Those movies really tried their best to be Lord of the Rings. They just happened to have some different creative differences. Now, what those creative differences didn't take away from the story. They didn't add to the story. They kind of just made sure the story flowed the way that it would in a film treatment. And I think that it was really effectively done. And I mean, maybe Tolkien would have had a different thought about it, but all in all, the majority of Tolkien fans find that those movies are respectful to his works, and that's why they are such cultural classics. That's why people love them so much. It's because they are so good. It's because they are so focused on trying to capture the spirit of Lord of the Rings. Whereas Amazon is taking the name of Lord of the Rings, slapping a new title under it called The Rings of Power, pouring billions of dollars into this stuff with a 5-year contract, and desperately trying to force in political commentary and leftist ideals with identity politics and social justice and sexual politics and all this other stupid stuff that doesn't need to be a part of Lord of the Rings, and it's drastically affecting their reach. And all Amazon has to do to get Lord of the Rings fans to like their stuff again, and in case you haven't noticed, Lord of the Rings has been absolutely demolished and ratioed to oblivion by Lord of the Rings fans. All Amazon has to do is stay true to what it is that Tolkien was writing about. Stay true to his world, stay true to the lore, stay true to what it is that Tolkien had in the appendices. Try to make a story that doesn't completely contradict everything about what Tolkien has written. And that's what they've done so far, is they've done nothing but in their leaks, in their promotional videos, in their promotional images, all that they've done so far is destroy and disregard Lord of the Rings. Now, it's no wonder why it is that Lord of the Rings fans are disappointed in this, or agitated with this, or angry with the fact that they're taking this and turning it into something that it was never supposed to be. And that's one of the saddest things about this, is that it really could be something great if they just focused on trying to tell the same story as what Tolkien originally intended. But instead of doing that, instead of focusing on trying to capture the spirit, one of the executives working on this has actually stated that they just wanted to tell a story that Tolkien never wrote. And it's probably a reason why Tolkien never wrote this story, is because he knew it would be garbage. Now, he's got tons of other things. I mean, you can go to Rune, and what's the other one? There was another one where there are people of darker complexion, where you could actually tell stories about individuals of darker complexion, but they wanted to tie into the main story so that they can make their stuff more credible, or they can make their story more credible. But it's not going to work if you don't actually focus on trying to tell a good story, or actually focus on trying to make a story that's worthwhile, or try to make a story that captures that spirit of Lord of the Rings, which was captured in the Lord of the Rings movies. And I know I've been rambling about this on and on and on, and I've been going on, and I've just kind of had this same monotone, agitated voice about this, but it really is important that we understand that this is a desecration of a pure work of art. It doesn't have anything political in it. It just focuses on traditional ideals and adventure and manhood, and it focuses, and there's romance and love and compassion and brotherhood and friendship, and it's amazing. It's so well done, but it's being spat on by some place like Amazon because they want to push diversity and social justice down the throats of its viewers. And you're going to get the shills like the so-called super fans who are pretty much all saying that they love the story, but it didn't represent them, which is just stupid beyond belief. But the people like that, the shills, will enjoy the crap out of this because it's what they're shilling for. It's going to have all the diversity that they want. It's going to have all this stupid garbage that wasn't ever supposed to be in there. It's going to have all this political ideology forced into it. And the people who actually love Lord of the Rings, the people who actually care about the franchise and want to see it grow and see it do better and made into something more valuable and made into something that's actually worthwhile, those people are going to avoid this beyond belief. Or they're going to review it and review it to death because it's going to be so garbage and it's going to be so contradictory to what is actually written in the Lord of the Rings books. I hope that we see Amazon have to backtrack. I hope that we see Amazon back off and take away all the stupid writers, the people who worked on Star Trek Discovery, the people who worked on all these other stupid Paramount Plus shows that don't actually make any sense or have some terrible writers. I hope that they fire those writers and get some people in there who actually care about the lore, instead of hiring gender studies degree feminist with nose ring to do their lore work. Because if you actually got someone who cared about the lore, like Gary Beekler or Ryan Kinnell or anyone else who actually cared about lore, or anyone who, or you could even go to the Tolkien family, like I think Christopher Tolkien. You could take his words for it. You could take Tolkien's words for it. You could take anyone in the Tolkien family who actually stood up for what it is that Tolkien wrote and take their words for it, and then you have a good story. But if you have, you're taking a bunch of people who don't actually care about the story for what it is, and they just want to inject politics into it, and you're making that the driving force of your writing for the show, and that's your biggest problem, Amazon. And I will keep on, encouraging the fans to ratio everything that's put out by Amazon's Lord of the Rings. Ratio it to oblivion. Make sure that Amazon knows that they messed with the wrong fandom. Make sure that Amazon has to backtrack. Make sure that Amazon has to take their hands away from this. Make sure that Amazon has to apologize for making something so egregious and disrespectful to a piece of art and a piece of work that was spent, that took years to make, that took a lifetime to completely fulfill and make in its fullness. And again, if this letter here and the commentary of J.R.R. Tolkien doesn't prove to you exactly why it is that this Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power by Amazon is a disgrace to the Lord of the Rings story, then I don't know what will. Anyways, that's been me. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It's a small click for you guys, and it's a small thing for you to do, but it means a whole lot to me. I appreciate everyone who does this. I can't express how happy I am that I got nearly 200 views on one of my videos not too long ago, and I had 7 comments on my last Lord of the Rings video, all of which I agree on, and boy, is it awesome to see some engagement. So keep doing what you guys are doing. I really do appreciate it. Also, thank you to all the new subscribers. I've officially reached 20. I never thought I would. I never thought I'd get to where I'm at. I know it's very small. I know it's not too high up, but I appreciate everyone who's taken their time to show some support in subscribing, liking the video, watching it, or commenting. I really do appreciate it. It means a whole lot to me. And keep doing what you guys are doing. It's awesome. I'm blown away. I really am. I appreciate it so much. I can't describe how happy it makes me to know that there are people out there who actually share my opinion and share my thoughts and actually are willing to go out and tell others about it, or sit down and just watch a 10-minute or 13 or 15 or 20 or even maybe a half-hour long video of me rambling about something that in the grand scheme of things is inconsequential, but in the here and now it means a whole lot because it kind of helps us with our sanity in these times of trouble. I mean, the past 2 years have been crazy. But yeah, I appreciate the likes, I appreciate the comments, I appreciate it when people subscribe. Just keep doing it, guys. I love it. I love it, really. I love you guys for doing that, and thank you. Thank you for being part of this fellowship, if I may be so crass to say it. All right, and that's it for me today. I hope you guys have a great day and a great rest of the week.